Well, hello to you brave souls who survived the Bill Whittle 2018 website debacle. I'm Bill Whittle. We're back with another year of top-level management and nothing but the highest in quality control and testing standards. I want to thank you for sticking with us for this last year. I know it's been a little rough, but we're back with 2019. And as you know, there was an election just a few weeks ago, well, a month or two ago, anyway, a couple months ago.
Do tell.
Yeah, there was. Which means, of course, it's time to immediately start talking about the next election because this particular kind of pathology never ends. And so I just thought, well, to hell with it. Let's just can't fight it. Might as well join it. And the reason I bring this up is because there's an article in The Hill magazine that is talking about the top 10 Democratic contenders for president in 2020. And I looked at the list of names, and I got to tell you, I'm not real worried at this point. So what I thought we might do is just kind of go down the list and just kind of hand them off back and forth. It's kind of a Steve Green lightning round, except we get to save money on the image. So let's look at what The Hill is listing as the top 10 Democrats in terms of the presidential election of 2020. And at the top of the list, we'll go to you, Scott Ott. It's Beto O'Rourke, the Italian Mexican, who the Irish Mexican. Irish Mexican. He'll be Italian Mexican when it comes time to run in various parts of the country, who came within 3 points of defeating our friend Ted Cruz in Texas, a very conservative state. Beto generated the kind of hysteria that comes from the kind of people that vote for Democrats, you know. He's kind of young. There were women doing songs about him and how much better he was looking than Ted Cruz, and and I love Ted Cruz, but it's not a terribly high bar to clear. No. So, what do you think of Beto O'Rourke as the torchbearer of the Democratic Party message? My understanding is that in order to get as close as he did, this champion of leftism had to sound so much like a conservative that he damn well might as well have been a Republican, at least in terms of how he campaigned.
Well, just to clear up the ethnic question, it's actually Robert Francis O'Rourke and Dios te bendiga.
Robert Francis O'Rourke, is he?
So
I remember growing up as a wee lad with my little piñatas.
That's his actual name. Apparently, he grew up among some Latino friends who use Beto as a nickname, which it is for a lot of people named Robert or Roberto, although that's not his heritage. Actually, I think that Beto O'Rourke is probably the best candidate that the Democrats could muster in 2020, and I think that for a variety of reasons. First of all, they don't need a standard bearer for the Democrat ideology, because the Democrat ideology is not something that one wears on one's sleeve. It is an assumption. One carries it in the darkness of one's soul and does not need to overtly stand for
Scott
it.
wins the internet. It's that dark place where no one dare look.
That's right.
That's where you keep it.
So it really doesn't. Ideology doesn't matter. Policy doesn't matter. Nothing really matters except sort of antimatter. Things that seem ephemeral to us are solid to them, and by that I mean somebody who knows how to manage an Instagram, page well. See, the fact that I use the term page for Instagram shows that I'm not one of those guys. The fact that he is engaging on the stump, that he is somewhat handsome, that he connects well with young people, that he is, frankly, above all else, an excellent fundraiser. And people from across the country, not only major donors, which are certainly plenty of those, but there are a lot of small donations rally to him. So he raised more money for a Senate campaign than people used to raise for presidential campaigns not too many years ago. Really a ton of money. So I think Beto, if right now you said, hey, place your wager on who will be the Democratic nominee, at this moment, I'd say it would be Beto O'Rourke. I would also say that we shouldn't laugh him off. I don't think that, the snarky little remarks that Ted Cruz made about trying to basically imply that he was some sort of hippie that was going to turn Texas into California, I think didn't stand him in good stead. I think Cruz let that race get a lot closer than it needed to be because he didn't understand what he was really running against. And the presidential Republican nominee who makes that same mistake does so at his peril.
Okay, good analysis. This article, by the way, Steve says that as it comes time for presidential nominee selection, Republicans fall in line and Democrats fall in love. So let's go to the person that got listed as number 2, young, vigorous, full of fresh ideas, Bernie Sanders. From interesting that the number 2 leader in the Democratic Party race is actually not a member of the Democratic Party, but socialism being all the rage. How worried are you about this fellow who will be? It says he'd be 79 by Inauguration Day. I thought Bernie Sanders was 79 10 years ago.
Yeah, me too.
Bernie Sanders.
Ideas fresh from the 1840s.
So how worried are you about the socialist who says we should only have one brand of deodorant who owns 3 houses himself?
Yeah. First, I want to say something about Beto O'Rourke, which is the Democrats have fallen in love with him. And they think he will make an excellent senator or president because he has those large Kennedy teeth. And then the next breath goes around and calls themselves the party of science. This just blows my mind. I love our Democratic friends.
Party of science.
That said, Bernie is not a threat. Bernie Sanders is not a threat. He's not going to get elected to anything outside of Vermont. His ideas are very much a threat and very pernicious. And what makes his ideas so dangerous is that the left correctly identifies almost every single thing that is wrong in our economy, and then all their solutions is more of the same. It's, how do we exacerbate this after having correctly identified it? So you've got all these frustrated people, all these frustrated voters who are, banging their heads up against the wall of all these barricades the government puts in front of them and makes everything more expensive and more difficult to do. And then Bernie Sanders, or someone like Bernie Sanders, someone with Bernie's ideas, comes along and says, you know what, you're right, and I'm just the person to fix it. And so it goes. That's the left's ratchet effect right there.
How do you explain the appeal of this cranky old white dude to America's youth?
He correctly identifies what ails our economy. He really does. And every single one of his solutions is crap. Oh, college is too expensive. And then he proposes ways to make it more expensive. This is what they do.
To a certain extent, Bernie and all the other socialists are basically saying to young people, hey, here's a solution. We haven't tried it yet. It must be good.
Yeah,
because
except they have tried it. I mean,
before you can get away with that kind of statement, you have to make sure that you've destroyed the educational system,
exactly.
and that's certainly something that
every single one of Bernie's
tick
ideas.
That one off, right? Tick.
Yeah, everything he's tried.
Okay.
The Romans tried, it failed. The Chinese tried. Ancient Chinese tried and failed. There's nothing new.
Yeah, progressivism is one of the most ancient ideas in the world, and it's not had success yet. But that doesn't mean a few 100 million more dead people won't bring about the change that we all believe in. Scott, I find this hard to believe, but number 3 on the list is another fresh face, Democrat, former Vice President Joe Biden. He's got that youthful vigor and that outsider kind of rebel kind of a thing that people like so much. Joe frickin' Biden is actually, according to many polls, the front runner for the Democratic vote.
I would actually put Joe Biden at number 2.
Would you?
Yes, as far as what the most likely to get the Democratic nomination. And the reason
your lips to God's ears.
The reason for that is in some ways similar to some benefits you get from somebody like Beto O'Rourke, which I didn't mention at the time, which is I think Biden has a decent shot of taking states like Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, and even North Carolina, places where Republicans really need to win, and that I think think Biden can make them much closer than they need to be, and possibly even win them, depending on what he's facing. I also think that Joe Biden has significant weaknesses. Obviously, his age, his previous avowals that his family didn't want him to run because of, his still mourning the death of his son, who passed away, sadly. I think Joe has a charm for many people in that they actually kind of like the fact that he says stupid things every once in a while because it makes him seem more human. They don't realize, though, he's really like the old Dan Aykroyd, Richard Nixon character, behind the scenes, who's, just rubbing his hands together, or Phil Hartman's Ronald Reagan, who's, portraying himself as kind of an affable dope in public, and behind the scenes, he's really this evil genius. You don't survive as long as Joe did in Washington, D.C. without knowing where some of the bodies are buried, and without being a guy who can reach around as he's shaking your hand with two hands and use his third hand to stab you in the back.
And his fourth hand to wrap his arm around your wife.
And massage her, yes.
So let's move on. Steve, this is the one that I'm a little worried about, actually. And I suspect that if things go the way I suspect they will go, that we will see her as a vice presidential candidate. But what about Kamala Harris from the great state of California?
Yeah.
That golden state that now number one product is poverty.
I don't think she's got
true story.
I don't think she's got enough of a natural constituency to get the nomination. But I would be surprised if she were not the vice presidential nominee. And
you hang her on to a white male, right? Whoever's at the top of the ticket, and you get to protect yourself from your own rhetoric.
Yeah, she's Obama without the brain power, and I can't think of a worse
that
insult.
Bad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So what we're basically dealing with Kamala Harris, and I haven't seen anything that really particularly impressed me in terms of intellect or experience or general knowledge. So she basically fits the Democrat dream exterior, right? She's checking all the diversity boxes.
You remember that brief moment when Barack Obama got in trouble for referring to her physical beauty?
That's right.
He referred to her as being like the most attractive attorney general in the country.
Oh yeah, she is definitely easy on the eyes, that's for sure. But
easy on the highs, difficult on the wallet, and also on the and fatal to the freedom. So let's move on. I can't believe this is here, but it is, and this entire phenomenon, I have to admit, has just mystified me. Let's talk about. Steve again next, I guess.
It's Scott's turn.
Scott, sorry, beg pardon.
Chicken.
Scott, Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas, the 2016th part American Indian who used that noble heritage of the noble warrior of the plains in order to get admission into Harvard University minority.
Which Harvard said had nothing to do
citizen.
with the fact that she got admission into Harvard University.
No.
Yes.
I believe their lawyers require them to say these things.
Actually, I read something the other day, and I'm kind of expounding on this because I only saw the headline. I didn't read the story, but that if she's elected president, then she's going to return all the land to her people. So they'll be getting about 1.5 acres of the western United States. Elizabeth Warren is, under a Democratic administration, is Director of Office of Management and Budget, or she is HHS Secretary. That's what she's going to be. I think for the same reason that people didn't like Hillary Clinton because she's hard to listen to. I think she's just going to have a hard time ginning up the kind of support she needs on a nationwide basis. Things that play well in academia and among a handful of real hard left progressive, activists, I don't think play as well across the country. And it's funny because I hate to say this, but like all my analysis has to do with sort of the everyman's look at these people. It's not.
Well, it's every man that votes for every woman.
But yeah. I don't think. I think there are other female Democrats. What's her name, Tulsi Gabbard, who would be a better candidate.
Oh, absolutely.
Than Elizabeth Warren just because she's tough to take. And people are not interested in pointy-headed ideas from the ivory-covered walls of some, northeastern university. She's going to have a hard time connecting with people. Go back into the bureaucracy, and that's where they'll put her. They'll put her in charge of one of the bureaucracies.
Yeah, but as a presidential candidate, I think she can draw on the vast experience of her people in terms of
Harvard.
Guerrilla warfare against white people. Just the fact that she did the DNA thing to reveal that anywhere from 6 to 10 generations ago there was an American. Just the political instincts there.
That's the phrase I was going to use. Did you watch her rollout over the last couple of days? She did it on January 1, trying to steal the news cycle and failed. She did this.
No.
Oh yeah,
I did not.
she launched her exploratory committee on Tuesday, and she did this Alexandria occasional Cortex type of movie in her video in her kitchen. I'm gonna get me a beer. I swear to you.
Did she say, "Get me a beer"?
Really?
Like John Kerry said, "Where can I get
gonna-
me a hunting license?"
I'm gonna get me a beer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So just
All right, we're going to skip past a couple here just because
Hail Spartacus.
Who cares?
those guys like Bill Clinton, no chance. So we'll skip over number 6, who they listed as Senator Sherrod Brown from Ohio. We'll very briefly go to Steve about Cory Booker.
Oh, Cory Booker! Wow. I would like to go out. I would like to sit down at a dinner table with Cory Booker. It's like do it like an Algonquin round table of kind of drunk, stupid people, because I think that would just be a lot of fun. Cory Booker is a likable, nice, charming guy who I'd really want to hang out with. I just don't see how he seals the deal with Democratic voters who are looking for. Okay, the mistake I made in 2016 is I was really looking for a movement conservative during the GOP primaries, and you can say a lot of good things about Trump, but he is not a movement conservative. The Democrats, I think, are really looking for that progressive firebrand. They're looking for the movement leftist, and Cory Booker's a nice guy. He's not that.
Doesn't he have a bit of a groping problem as well, or was it somebody else?
People have said a lot of things about Cory, and see
it's Ellison who's the one who's really.
Yeah. Oh, and one other thing I wanted to say: Liz Warren is a serious contender. How?
Yeah, those will never get old.
No.
All right, so we're just going to skip one more, and then we'll just do one more. So we'll skip over Amy Klobuchar, and we'll go for the last one, Scotty, for you. The one of the leading, at least one of the top 10 contenders for the Democratic nomination in 2020 is staunch Republican Michael Bloomberg. who was such a champion of conservative principles during his time in New York City. You want to talk about a person who can appeal to both sectors.
Yeah, he's managed to offend all sides, I think.
I have found that to be the case, yeah.
So he's not liberal enough for the left. He's not conservative enough for the right. But he's wealthy enough to muscle through a campaign for probably 10 to 15 months before he has to check out, because his whole fortune really wasn't in it, even if his heart was. And so, I think he will join the race. I think he will go on for a while until he finally says the reason why he was in the race was to make sure that certain issues that are important to him got an airing and got discussed, and he could be one of the 27 people on stage during the initial Democratic presidential debates with his 15 seconds of talking about them, and then he'll bail out.
Hey, can I throw something in? This isn't about any of the
Please
candidates.
do.
This is about the 2020 campaign. Do you remember in the 2016 Democratic campaign, they had the kiddie table debates?
Yeah.
Where they took all the second and third tier candidates and had their own. Yeah.
The kiddie table debates. I remember. Yeah.
And I agree.
That'll to be having dinner in an hour, but let's listen to what these losers have to
Exactly.
say.
And I had so much fun drunk blogging those things. It was the time of my life. 2020 is going to be even better because Tom Perez, the super progressive DNC chair, has made the decision that there will be no kiddie table debates. That they're all going to be on the same stage, whether it's the people who actually have a chance with the super crazies. They're all going to be on the same stage together, Bill. And I swear, if I live through this campaign, they're going to have to bury my liver at Yucca Mountain,
I don't blame you one bit.
Why am I picturing that giant intergalactic council with Jar Jar Binks speaking on a floating platform that comes out?
Well, the one name that's not on this list is the name that I suspect will be seen again, and
yes,
like swamp gas coming out of coming out of Boggy Creek on a Halloweeny 50 years to the day after, the murders took place. I think the ethereal form of Hillary Clinton will be seen kind of moving in the shadows and occasionally be glimpsed by people who will swear that they actually saw her. Although they were drinking moonshine and most of that was methanol.
Well, you said right up front that this came from the Hill, right?
From the Hill.
Yeah.
I absolutely believe we will see her again. I didn't think it was possible after the last one, but I swear I just don't think she will go away. I also don't think the Democrats will roll the dice 3 times on this unpleasant loser. I think most people just wish she would kind of disappear, and I don't, because
because you hate me and my liver.
Because she's everything you ever need to know, in one convenient place. So look, that's the Democratic field. There's nobody in there really worries me too much. It's not the kind of thing that I find awful or intimidating. I would like to have a look at some younger Republicans, and I would certainly like to see, just personally, like to see Nikki Haley on a ticket somewhere.
Yeah.
And as far as the rest of it goes, I don't know. But the idea of 19 of them on a stage at the same time is intriguing.
It's an embarrassment of embarrassment.
It's an embarrassment it's an embarrassment of riches. Well, we're all socialists, so we can share the charisma equally.
To each according to his need.
That's right. And you talk about everybody being
a lot of
together.
need.
Yeah, sure is. It's great to be back, folks. Thanks for joining us with the first show of 2019, made possible by you wonderful folks who have stuck with us through thick and thin. And we're hoping to lean a little more towards the thick as the year progresses. So for Steve and Scott and the rest of the tiny but dedicated staff here at BillWhittle.com, we will see you next week.